Okay, now we're going to have two brief remarks from a couple of smart people who have developed way outside the box thinking about this subject that we thought was fascinating and stimulating. So first is James Ramsey of Lowline, and then he will turn it over after speaking for 10 minutes to Marko Arola of Tempix. So James.
Thank you. And first of all, I'm just now getting over a pretty wicked cold, so if I start having a coughing fit, please bear with me. Anyway, yes, I'm James Ramsey. I am the owner of an architecture firm in Lower Manhattan called RAAD. But I guess for the purposes of talking to you guys today, I'm going to talk about one project in particular. It's called the Lowline. And the idea for this project is that underneath the Lower East Side of Manhattan, there's a giant abandoned trolley terminal. And through the use of design and technology, we're proposing to bring in natural sunlight into this space, to use that to grow plants, and in turn transform this abandoned space into a vibrant public space. So that's the basic idea of the Lowline. And I think it's important to underscore here, having listened to that excellent panel, I realize that this is probably a bit of a change of gears. But I think it's important here to underscore the idea and maybe get you guys thinking about sort of future ways or next generation ways we can begin to think about growing things, and actually maybe more in particular, with relevance to me anyway, the way in which we interact with our cities, the way we experience our cities. So if you look, I think as sort of a preface here, I think that our imagination is always found its most fertile ground at the very sort of extremities of our knowledge. And if you look hundreds of years ago, in a time when there really were uncharted territories, our imagination started to fill in the blanks for what could possibly be there. And I think that's kind of an important concept. And through the years, as we begin to sort of fill, that's a Cyclops in the middle, as we begin to fill in our level of information and put a finer grain on our maps and our body of knowledge, we begin to sort of initiate the extinction of those kinds of levels of imagination. And so by and by, we flesh out our base of knowledge more and more, and these kinds of things kind of go away. The analogy I'm going to make is with our cities themselves. If you look at what's happening actually currently, as we explore all these new wonderful technologies that all of you have in your pockets, the grain, the detail and the grain of our maps themselves get finer and finer, even to the point where you start actually having spelled out for you exactly where to go and how to experience your own city. And so in a way, our frontiers from an urban design standpoint, or just from an urban experience standpoint, begin to erode, and we sort of lose the sense of mystery that once accompanied, like if anyone here remembers New York in the 70s or the 80s, there's no telling, there was no telling what would be around the corner. It could be, some crazy Buddhist temple, or you could get mugged, but at least it was a new experience, and you were exploring and maybe even discovering something interesting, right? And so that's something that I think collectively we're losing right now just because of the way that we are changing our relationship to our cities. And so, when we had a sort of a vibrant streetscape like this, full of all sorts of weird things you could discover. God, this thing is moving very quickly. By and by, we've sort of tamed those discoveries that we can make. But I guess my argument is that there are still things to discover in this city. And sometimes if you know where to look, you can actually sort of find new frontiers in the way that you experience your life and experience the city. For example, looking down. Underneath New York City is something like 13 acres of unused space. Most people have no idea it's down there. It's extensive, and it's running, crisscrossing the entire city. So underneath Delancey Street itself, which is over at the foot of the Williamsburg Bridge, who would ever think that underneath that is this? This is the Lowline space itself. This is the Williamsburg Trolley Terminal. It was built in between 1903 and 1908, and it served as a turnaround for trolleys coming over the bridge from Brooklyn. Now, at some point, the automobile finally unequivocally won in the city, and we discontinued the use of our trolley system. And this space, as a result, has been sitting just completely abandoned, unknown, in the dark since 1948. And so the idea, well, what if you could just peel back the sidewalk and actually begin to rediscover that kind of space? So the idea then is, how do you take a space, this is it at present day, by the way, how do you take a space like this and sort of reinvigorate it and transform it into something that could serve as maybe something of a public amenity? And the concept of the Lowline is that we can use design and technology to do this. For reference, this is where it is. If you look at the right side of the image here, there's the Williamsburg Bridge. This is Delancey Street right here. And as you can see, this actually spans 3 entire city blocks. So this is actually not a very small space at all. Historically speaking, this is in the Lower East Side, which is the neighborhood in which almost every American immigrant first moved when they came to America 100 years ago. And at one time, it was actually the most densely populated neighborhood on earth. It's also a neighborhood, though, in spite of that sort of cultural richness, that has been sort of consistently neglected by the powers that be. And this is a relatively famous image of the Lower East Side where a bunch of children are just sort of playing with a dead horse, right? And images like these actually shocked people 100 years ago, as they may do now, and actually spurred forth the modern parks movement. But if you look at the particular location of the Lowline, this is an above-ground shot from the 20s, it has suffered from the advent of the automobile. That's almost like a time-lapse photo. This is at present day. And so we view the Lowline as a means to stitch together that sort of scar in the landscape. So how do we do that? Well, what we're proposing is to use an advanced technology to collimate and concentrate natural sunlight, to use that and actually send that sunlight through the street sandwich down into the space where we spread that light back out and use that light to then grow stuff. So a friend and I built a small-scale prototype of this device back in 2010 or something like that, just to test out, and it does work. And so we can take a space, this is it at present day again, like this, and by simply implementing this technology and kind of giving it a spring cleaning, we can end up with a space that looks a little something like this, which is the sort of the vision for the Lowline. A few more images. So this is a concept where we're taking this ancient muscular space that's been completely abandoned and forgotten, walked over by hundreds of thousands of people every day, and snaked into it this sort of science fiction technology. And in doing so, we're able to grow things sustainably and to create a green space for the public to enjoy that actually knits together a neglected community. So how do we do this? Well, we started off by wanting to build a full-scale proof of concept in 2012. We launched a crowdfunding campaign. If anyone here is familiar with Kickstarter, what you do is you sort of propose to build something, put it online, publish it with a video, and people would contribute money. Within 5 days, we had raised about $150,000, which obviously is not a lot to build something, but it was enough for us to build what we wanted to do. This was the largest amount of money ever gathered at that point for a public works project. It had all these kind of cool benefits, like I ran into people on the street wearing our t-shirts, was stopped by news crews. Someone made a video game about us. We even awakened fears on the internet that we were going to awaken the monster from Lord of the Rings. But what we did was we chose an abandoned warehouse, blacked it out, and began building a small-scale version of this device that we're proposing, ultimately creating sort of a scaled version of the actual thing. And guess what? We plugged in the sun, and it actually worked. And not only was this something of a technical experiment for us, but it was actually something of an anthropological experiment. It's funny, you know, this is this abandoned concrete warehouse, and we basically put some sunlight and a tree into it, and people began to show up, aggregate in there, bring soccer balls. Families would come put blankets on the concrete floor. It's amazing what happens when you give a New Yorker a tree, right? In any case, But we were able to create, just for a brief instant, a tiny, tiny little, almost like a core sample of the Lowline, just dropped into space for a couple of weeks. And it was amazing the response we gathered. And so as time goes on, this has become a very real project. You know, it's been 2 years since that event. And as we move forward, we're sort of refining our technologies. We're sort of continuing, sort of lobbying the city. We now have every elected official on board with the idea. And then we're gathering money. So this is a very real project that is moving forward. And you know, obviously this is a project that is very localized. It's to specifically repair a very specific neighborhood in New York. But I invite all of you to sort of think a little bit more broadly about what some of the implications might be, about how we choose to interact with our cities, how we experience them, and maybe even how we begin to look at growing actual living things. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Interesting. Hi there, my name is Marko, Arola. I usually present myself as a father to 3 kids. I'm the CEO of Tempix and I'm 25 years old. It's very nice to be here, and the idea behind Tempix came originally from ice cream. Ice cream is, as you know, a very, very difficult product to keep cold in the cold chain. It has to be kept below minus 18 degrees Celsius. And the 2 founders that were thinking about this ice cream problem, because everybody has sometimes bought an ice cream that has been defrozen and frozen again. They started to think about this problem, how to find on the ice cream package that it has been defrozen and frozen again. And they were very effective guys, these 2 founders, and they were working in a very, very quick pace, and 10 years later they come up with a solution, and it's here today, the Tempix. Very good. This is the picture from Järvsö, Hälsingland in Sweden. It is, we were discussing about parks. This is a park in Sweden, this Järvsöklack, the mountain you see here. It's a more kind of a natural park. Järvsö is also famous for a horse. The Järvsöfax is a very famous racing horse. And also we have the Swedish singer Lil Babs coming from Järvsö. She's very well known. Together with me, I have one of the founders, Mats Nygård. Please just stand up and so everyone can see you flex your muscles. Tempix has invented a technology that can erase the barcode when the temperature abuse has been too big on a certain product. And this invention we have patented, and it has also been awarded. What happens to the label actually when the temperature abuse is too big is that the barcode disappears, and also this indicator line. What we do here is that we put a small amount of activator liquid in the middle here. This activator liquid starts to expand and starts to spread in this paper very, very slowly if the temperature abuse is small. If the temperature abuse is if the temperature is higher, the propagation goes much, much faster. If the temperature suddenly drops, the propagation will stop. And it will constantly, it will wait for the next temperature abuse. It's almost like a ticking bomb, waiting for the next temperature abuse to happen. The potential of this product is enormous. It can be used in all chilled or frozen products. It is on medicine, on pharmaceutical products, and almost everything you bring home from your retail store is chilled or frozen. So, and this product can be tailor-made to all those requirements that those products needs regarding the monitoring temperature and the time of temperature abuse. This is a proven technology. It is the temperature range is between minus 30 and plus 30. So if there is a product like ice cream, minus 18 degrees, we can make the label for that purpose. Minced meat have to be kept below plus 4 degrees Celsius in Sweden. Fish have to be kept below plus 2 degrees and so on. So we can tailor-made this product for all these different requirements. Regarding the cold chains, it's actually very difficult to see if the cold chain is functioning, because there are very seldom used any kind of measurements or checks. What is actually checked is that the temperature when the truck arrives to a certain company, what is the temperature inside the truck, and also when they're unloading the goods that have been put in the truck. It is almost a black hole. When you have the temperature indicator inside the packages in the truck, they are constantly monitoring in every place in the truck what is the temperature and how big has the temperature abuse been. And many food producers don't fully trust the cold chain. And what actually might happen is that you can see this kind of a mishandling in the stores. I can promise you it is almost room temperature in these meat packs what are placed on the top here. And this problem is severe in some cases. We have met some of the producers who are stating that they are reducing days from the expiry dates on their products because they don't fully trust the cold chains. And that is happening in Sweden and in other countries as well. They are taking the days off from the shelf life in the stores. One company that is performing very well in respect of cold chain is the Lidl company. It is actually not Swedish company, it's a company from Germany. They are keeping below +2 degrees Celsius on their products in the cold chain. All meat, all poultry and all fish be below +2 degrees from the producer all the way to the retail stores. It's very impressive. They actually won the big logistic prize in Sweden very recently. The Lidl Group has also a very standardized setup in their stores. There are not the store owners. There are not any store owners who can decide the things on their own. It is very standardized and very secure setup in every store. The mistakes are not allowed there. This is a typical cold chain. All these red areas here, the more red it is, the severe is the temperature abuse. Here we are monitoring a product, let's say mini steaks. It has to be kept below +60 degrees Celsius. Every time the temperature is above the 60 degrees Celsius, this area illustrates the amount of temperature abuse. And we can tailor-make the labels so that it can block the barcode when it's required. The benefit for Tempix, it is very simple and cheap system. It can also prolong the shelf life in stores. It is possible to increase the sales due to that and also reduce the waste. There are a lot of money hidden in these extra days that you can put into this shelf life issue. And also it's a very good quality control. It is much easier for the to do this checking if the cold chain has been functioning when you see if the indicator bars are there or if the barcode is still there. One good benefit is also that Tempix system is working with every cashier in the whole world. You don't need any other intelligent systems. You can see with your naked eye if the label looks correct, and also in the cashiers when people are buying the goods, if the barcode still is there, the product is fully okay. The market situation, since we have recently developed this product, we are now focusing on food industry, pharmaceuticals, and logistic service providers. What also will assist us a lot in Sweden is these new industry branch guidelines that will be effective. The latest information we got, they will be effective in February 2015. And in those guidelines, they are recommending the use of time and temperature indicators. We have also, we are launching Tempix internationally through exhibitions and marketing. We are here, of course. We are going to other countries, and also we are finding these agents that can assist us selling this. We have also a huge trial that we are planning in Japan with millions of labels on a certain product. We have also very recently made trials in Sweden on many products, and also very recently interesting trial in which actually the indicators went off quite often. So they have to adapt their cold chain since that trial we made with them. And I think that it is all about what the customers want. This system is very, very cheap. The label is doesn't cost so much money. For very, very few cents, you can have this label on every single product, on fresh baby food, on minute steaks or whatever. And once the label is there, and you can read the barcode and see the indicator bar, you can trust on the products. And I think it's all about what the consumers want, and the price increase is almost nothing. We have patents in all these countries, and of course in the United States of America. Tack så mycket.
Very good.
Thank you, Michael.